What do you find really scary? The way people drive in my Central Florida city of 89,000. It is so crazy here. The crap I see just driving 5 blocks to the Publix is truly alarming. I can't even describe driving on I-4 without cringing inside. Pedestrians are fair game and in immediate danger here. It doesn't matter if the signal light is in your favor. You're going to get run over anyway. The driver won't have insurance and they will leave the scene. You've been warned. Oh, and the headlights are blinding and you'll crash at night, but they can see for mics with those things. That billionaires exist. I'm not even joking. I recall my horror as a young child that some people don't eat while others have more than they will ever need existing in the same timeline, and part of being well-adjusted is accepting this, or else you will end up with not enough to eat. If we survive as a species, I hope there are kids who can't believe we ever lived like this. It's not like we didn't make it all up of all the options civilizations have had. We go with inequity built on inequity. Rant over AI. The idea that multiple scientists and knowledgeable tech geniuses got together last year to basically write a letter warning people about AI, its rapid growth, and the risk it poses. The only thing they could convince companies to do was simply slow the progression of AI for 6 months, which in the long run, doesn't do much for us at all. World's already dystopian, we're just getting closer and closer to cyberpunk. Gotta get long coats and cigarettes back in style. I have a deep respect bordering on fear of electricity. I've had small shocks from poorly grounded wires, a down line in a puddle, and even an electrified goat fence thrice. I'm daft, sometimes. This fear came to mind as I watched video of some dude opening a convenience store fridge only to have his juice hand lock around the handle. Another patron managed to kick him loose. No details on why the fridge was hot, just a 5-second TikTok. Shocks hurt in a strange way. There's so much to fear and not enough of a point in fearing it for me, so I don't really pay attention to it much, but things like horror games and horror movies don't scare me. I guess the fear I have is that everything I know about life is a lie. Turns out to be a complete facade like the Truman Show. I think that's pretty scary. But in a way, if that was true, I would still like to know, and I'd see it as a new beginning. So really there is nothing to fear. Alzheimer's, my grandmother had it before passing away. You're here without really being here. She would call me like my grandpa, would ask for her mother, and suddenly cry because she couldn't recognize us anymore, because she could recognize us and miss us. You must be so scared not knowing what is going on around you, not recognizing people in your house, while sometimes also knowing that you are actually forgetting all the people you once loved. As a former fugitive investigator, just how easy it is to find someone even when they're attempting to hide, if you're determined. And how easy it is to manipulate them into a position where you have the monopoly on violence, if you're determined. It's why I try my best to not make enemies in this life. I might not know which crazy is more experienced than me, and the perfect god complex to go along with it. Carbon monoxide poisoning, being stalked heavily, schizophrenia and human trafficking. Also the really rich people that we don't even know BC, they're so rich, after a certain point there's got to be some strings attached. Like you can get everything you want, so you go for the taboo things like trafficking or wear the dangerous man games type things. Money is ultimately the most terrifying thing. Space, like we are one galaxy out of thousands. I thought our galaxy was pretty big until I was in like 5th grade and realized we aren't the only galaxy. There are a billion trillion other galaxies out there, and there are probably other life forms on other planets in various galaxies. Don't even get me started on black holes. Imagining getting old. And all the things that come with the passing of time, especially how the government and world is gonna shift in my lifetime. Since I was born 2002, it seems like the whole world was turned on its head, and the thought of what else can and will happen in the future fucking terrifies me. Sometimes I think too hard about how we are literally just little creatures on a rock in space, and a cosmic event could happen at literally any moment and wipe us from existence in the blink of an eye, and we would have no idea it's coming. Scares the crap out of me, so I try not to think about it too much. Honestly, there's a lot of things. Losing my partner would definitely be one of them. Or being homeless, which I've been close to be a few times in the past year. That and my mental health dropping a lot that same year due to stress and loss. It just really sucks, and honestly just being an adult is scary. The dark. More like the idea of someone being in my room when it's dark and I can't see anything. I used to get major anxiety when it was nighttime and would hide under my covers to protect myself, which would result in it taking hours for me to fall asleep. Luckily I have gotten over this. MAGA, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, QAnon, the Republican Party, The 200 federal judges Trump managed to get on the bench in 4 years in the Supreme Court, which is now packed with right-wing nutjobs who will have a lasting and massive impact on this country for years to come. And snakes. The thought of missed connections with people are just what could have been in a relationship since. I don't even mind getting rejected. I'd much rather just have the closure. So I guess the true fear is not getting closure and constantly living in hope and anxiety about the future, to see how and where these transformers transgender society is going. There's a million gender now, a man can say he's a woman and compete against them. Beyond commercials for female hygiene products. Beer commercial? These goddamn Decepticons are taking over the world. There's a lot of things to actually be scared about, but my biggest fear throwing food in the air and catching it in my mouth. Like popcorn or cheese balls or whatever. Absolutely terrifying, I can't even try to do it. Gives me the creeps when people do it around me too. Mexican cartels. It'd make sense if it turned out they were all just demons or something from another world. Monsters are just men. Men with families, kids, wives and favorite songs and colors and meals. They're human and that is just fucking terrifying. The age of the people running the country. Terrifying. My dad is 80 and I can even begin to see him running anything but the remote for the TV. He was CEO of a large credit union in Southern California, retired at 65, as these corrupt fuckers in Washington should. Going to sleep. My dreams are very vivid but I don't remember all of them. Sometimes I wake up with an impending sense of dread and I can't remember why. Other times I wake up and check on my loved ones because I had a dream where something terrible happens to them. The fact that any country could drop a nuclear bomb at any time, start World War III. Besides that, not much. Or that there's another pandemic like COVID but the disease is much more severe. The government is purposely releasing it out into the public to gain more control. I know this is strange but I'm absolutely terrified of chicken bones. I cannot eat any chicken that is on the bone or has been on the bone, and if I'm with someone who is eating chicken on the bone I cannot stand it. I really don't know why, but they terrify me. After you die, unless you do something world-changing, it'll take 3-4 generations after you to forget you completely. Unless you're really into genealogy, you probably don't know your great-great-grandfather's name and who he is. That's gonna be you, very soon. Men walking behind me late at night or in broad daylight on quiet roads and too close. I have been grabbed from behind. I think I broke his foot, but didn't wait to find out. But also creepy sexual comments. It happens less now I'm old but it still happens. That people think their 401k is a retirement plan. It was never meant to be a retirement plan. It was only meant for the average worker to get into the market. You need to diversify your investments or make more money in order to have enough to retire. The idea of being watched and not knowing it. Not because I'm doing anything creepy. I have a genuine fear of uncovered windows at night, and I frequently check my 100-year-old house for ways and for people to hide. And also societal collapse. Animatronics. They freak me out, and then I think of all of them in Disneyland after all the lights, music and people are gone. For a few hours just them by themselves and the dark eyes still open. Country Bears is the worst movie ever made. Imagine being immortal and having to drift off into the vast darkness of outer space but you can't die or anything like that. You are left in the freezing cold and you don't know whatever is going to happen to you in any moment at all. The decline in trust of democratic processes, institutions and values is palpable. Whether true or not, this diminishing belief in electoral politics itself breeds a kind of apathy and populist sentiment for interesting times. Artificial intelligence. The singularity, according to one scientist, will likely happen by the year 2031. That is a term for when people can no longer control AI. It's shocking to me that we already have a term for this, love letter. What will happen to our country and our people if Trump gets elected again? I think he will do irreparable damage to our country that will forever change our country, our lives and our children's future in a very, very bad way. What the long-term neurologic health impact COVID will have on us. I had a moderate traumatic brain injury as a teenager and it nearly ruined my life. So maybe I'm just more aware of how high the stakes are. But the unknown of what lies beneath the open ocean. Also the fact that I don't know a thing about my great-grandparents and how immortality is an illusion we chase only to be forgotten within 2 generations. Right now, I'm terrified of not being able to support myself financially since my significant other passed away and I only have my income. It's keeping me in a job that is toxic because I need my salary. That most of the composition of the universe, dark matter and dark energy, is beyond our capacity to detect or interact with. The matter we occupy is a thin shadow of what is estimated to truly exist. Gangs. I have been given death threats that were written on paper and handed to me, in a small town. The police didn't even care, because I was an outsider. The gangs own their towns. Scary, huh? The ocean. Its vastness terrifies me. Being in an environment so unforgiving and cold. Knowing that there are things that could hurt me lurking below. It's the only thing that truly scares me. The impending doom that a burglar will break into my home as I am laying in my bed all nude, role-playing on, and I have nothing to defend myself with but plushies and frozen corn dogs. Losing my job in which my boss hates me no matter what I do, which would result in us possibly losing our home and potentially becoming homeless. Being the breadwinner is stressful stuff. The hate toward boomers. Where I live, we've had several attacked physically just while out walking. I've seen the hate on social media. To attack individuals you don't even know is crazy time. I have a twisted gut feeling that I'm only getting older as I hit milestones in my life or reach closer to them and look back and wonder if I wasted any of my years being a perpetual renter. Never being able to create a lasting home. Always being one landlord's whim away from moving. I'll probably never be truly stable, and it sucks that you could be taken, kidnapped, tortured or murdered, caught by a stray bullet at any moment like the stories you see on the news, but you seemingly luck out every day. Old age. Knowing that every passing second my body is slowly deteriorating, and that I'm going to become weaker and more fragile every single day until the day I die. I find it really scary how effective propaganda can be at manipulating people, and also how horrible criminals like serial killers and pedophiles look like nice people.